Monday and I taught you one on Tuesday, right? So today is going to be the last lesson I teach you in math, but I want to do a quick review on what we learned on Monday and Tuesday. So when I ask you a question, can you please raise your hand and I'll call on you to answer. When we compare two things, what do we compare them by?
Size.
Size, very good. Alexa?
And by color.
Okay, yes, by color. But on Monday we compared two things by
Height.
height or
Taller,
and shorter. Sean? It starts with an L. What is it, Sadie?
Littler.
Close. Steven?
Length.
Length, very good. So on Monday we compared things by length. And I want to ask you, what are words we can use when we talk about length? Some of you already said them. We can use the word longer. What other word can we use?
Smaller.
Smaller. Alexa?
Comparing.
Not comparing. When we compare length, though, what words can we use? Taller, shorter, longer. What about this?
Shorter.
So those are all words we can use when we talk about length. Can somebody tell me what tools we use when we want to measure length? What tools can we use to measure length? Layla? A ruler. What other tool, Dylan?
A clock.
Not a clock to measure length. Remember we talked yesterday that a clock measures time?
A ruler.
A ruler, yes, we said ruler. Zachary?
A measuring cup.
Not a measuring cup. Remember yesterday we said a measuring cup we would use to measure ingredients, right? If we want to measure length, the length of something, what would we use? Isabella?
Measuring tape.
We could use a measuring tape. Alex? A ruler. Very good. Okay, so a ruler. We could use a measuring tape, even though we didn't really discuss that. But what are those little colorful things that we used yesterday too? Rebecca? Remember?
Color blocks.
Color blocks or color tiles. We can use those to measure length too. When we measure with a ruler, where do we start? At 0. What if there's not a 0 on the ruler? Where do we start? Isabella?
Inches.
Inches, or at the beginning of the ruler, right? So we would start right here. Today we're going to practice more with length. So I'm going to take this sheet of paper and I'm going to show you how to do a few different problems. I want to draw a line that is 3 inches long, starting at 0. Does anybody know how I could do that? If I wanted to draw a line that was 3 inches long, starting at 0. Sadie?
You start at inches.
We start at inches. So I would start here.
Yeah.
And how long do I make the line?
To 3.
So we count 1, 2, 3. Is that line 3 inches? How do we know that?
It's on the 3.
Because it's on the 3 and it started at the 0. Very good. So I always want you to put your finger at the beginning of the ruler. When we count, we're going to move to the right. And we're going to count how many inches we need to go over. So this case we did 3. So we count 1, 2, 3. So my line should end on the 3. Let's do another one. If I want to draw a line that is 5 inches long, starting at 1 inch, what do I do? I want to make a 5-inch line, but I want to start at 1 inch. So I'm going to put my finger on the 1, and I'm going to count over 5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What number is my finger on?
6.
6. It's not on 5, is it? If it was on 5, how many inches would that be?
4.
4. So we have to make sure we count. So I'm going to make my line, start at the 1, and I'm going to draw it to the 6. Sorry, that's not very straight. That's not a very good line. So count with me, how many inches long is this line? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, just 5. I know it went a little over. Alright. So now I want you to take out your math journals and a piece, or in your pencil, sorry, if you can. And I'm going to give you this ruler.
Here.
The regular ones on, but their math ones on. Quickly get it, honey.
Yes. Everyone.
I know, I'm looking for one. I found one. All right, everyone should have their math journals out. I want you to open it to a blank page. And I gave you each a plastic ruler. I want you to put your ruler on the page. I don't have a ruler to use, but I can look at Steven.
Someone didn't give it back yesterday.
We're going to try doing a few problems together like I did on the board before. Are you ready? Brandon, can you open your journal? Phoebe, can you open your journal? Alright. So flip your ruler to the side that says inches and put it down on your piece of paper. If I asked you to draw a line that is 3 inches long, starting at 1 inch, could we do that? What should we do? Here. No, you gotta flip it to the inches side. Here. Make sure you're on the inches side. Put your finger on the number 1. Because it said starting at 1. So we put our finger on the 1. We have to make a line that's 3 inches long. So we need to count over 3 inches. Can you count with me? 1, 2, 3. What number did we land on? What number? 4. Very good. So we're going to start with our line on the 1 and draw it to the 4. Is that line 3 inches long? How could you check that that line is 3 inches long? Could you measure that line? If we started at the 0 and measured that line, how long is that line? How long? It should be 3 inches. If you measure your line, it should be 3 inches.
1, 2,
Is your line 3 inches, Stephen? Very good. Alright, so slide your ruler down. We're going to do another one. Please don't do that, Stephen. I want to draw a line that is 2 inches long, starting at 2 inches. Where should I start? What number am I going to start on, Layla?
2.
2. Put your finger on the 2. What do I need to do next? Zachary, what should I do next?
Draw the line you want.
Well, how many inches do we need to make our line?
To the 4.
To the 4, but I said we want to make a 2-inch line starting at 2 inches. So we need to count over how many inches, Zach? 1 or Rebecca? 2. We need to count over 2 inches. So move your finger to the right and count 2 inches. 1, 2. What number did my finger land on? Who can tell me what number? Avery? 4. So we're going to start our line at the 2, and we know it's going to end at the 4. That's a 2-inch line. Can you check and see if that line is 2 inches? How would we check and see if that line is 2 inches long? We would measure it. Very good. We would measure it. Everyone's line should be 2 inches long. Stephen, put your line on, or put your ruler on your paper, please. Thank you. All right. Can we do one more? Okay. Can you do this one by yourself? Do you think you can do it by yourself? I'll help you, but I want to see if you can do it. If I ask you to draw a line that is 1 inch long, starting at 3 inches, could you do that? What number do we start with? Here we start with 3, yes. And it has to be how many inches long? 1 inch long. So we need to count over 1 inch to the right. And what number should our line end on? Can you raise your hand and tell me what number our line's going to end on, Avery?
3.
On 3? If we started on 3,
1.
and we made our line 1 inch, what number is it going to land on? Put your finger on the 3. Everyone put your finger on the 3, please. We're going to make our line 1 inch long, so you need to move 1 inch to the right. What number did we land on?
4.
4. So we know our line is going to start on the 3 and end at the
4.
4.
That was totally easy.
I'm glad that was totally easy.
I don't know why the last one was easy.
Okay. Yes, Sean.
I'll do that.
Which one was
The last one we just did was make a 1 inch line starting at 3 inches. So we'll start at 3 and make a 1 inch line, so our line would be at the 4. Okay? Now if I ask you to put those lines in order from shortest to longest, could you do that? Could you do that? If I labeled these lines This line will be number 1. This one number 2. And this one number 3. And I asked you to put them in order from shortest to longest. Which one would go first?
Number 3.
Number 3 would go first. Does everyone agree with that? Why would number 3 go first?
It's the biggest.
It's the biggest. I thought I said the shortest. Shortest to longest.
1
One first. Shortest, which is the smallest, to longest, which is the biggest. Which line is the smallest?
3.
3. So we're going to put 3 first. Which line would go next? Remember, shortest to longest. Who can tell me which line would go next? We already used 3. Sadie?
2.
The 2. Why the 2?
Because it's 3, 2, 1. And like it goes after the 3.
But let's not look at the numbers. Let's look at the line. Can we look at the line? Let's look at line number 2 and number 1. Is number 1 longer than number 2? Is that line longer?
A little bit.
A little bit? So would you say number 1 is the longest line? Do we agree with that?
Yeah.
So let's draw the 1 line down here. What line do we have left? Alexa? The 2. Now, the 2's not the longest and it's not the shortest. So what do we do with it? Does anybody know what we can do with it? We're going to call this line the middle line because it's in between being short and it's in between being long. We know it's not the longest and we know it's not the shortest. So we're going to stick number 2 in the middle. Now looking at these green lines, is it in order from shortest to longest?
Yeah.
Is it in order from shortest to longest? Can you raise your hand and tell me? Sean, is it? What if I flipped them over? Are the green lines in order from shortest to longest? Why not?
The shortest is not first. The second is in place, but the longest is not last.
Very good. Zachary Ross, are these lines in order from shortest to longest?
No.
Why not?
Because it's supposed to be shortest, longest, and number 1 is supposed to be last, not first.
Very good, because number 1 is
Biggest.
the longest line. Okay.